How hard was it for you to mentally come to terms with the fact that this amazing body, you've already said you had more speed in your little finger than most people have in their entire bodies. You know, your body gave you so much. And then suddenly was letting you down. How did you deal with that?
That has probably been the most unbelievable, unexpected experience of my life. I would have never expected. When I had my stroke, it was a crazy experience. I didn't feel any major discomfort. I didn't feel any, pain. I just had this strange sensation where I was struggling to move my fingers. I was struggling to coordinate my left leg. And this was right after I finished a workout in my gym. And so really just out of an abundance of caution, decided, I'll just go to the emergency room and have them check this out.
So how long have these symptoms been there for?
30 minutes.
Okay.
But I know my body and this is not right? But again, out of an abundance of caution, we decided to go to the emergency room, fully expecting that it's going to be nothing.
Yeah.
And it's just getting progressively worse. And so like an hour later after they're checking me out, running some tests, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. It's just getting worse. I can't move my fingers at all. My left leg, I can't stand on it. I can't walk. And I can't move my arm.
How scary
try to
is that?
move it. It's very scary. It's shocking. I'm shocked. I'm like, what is going on? The left side of my body is literally being paralyzed. So they tell me that, you've suffered a stroke. And I'm just like, this is not happening. This is impossible. I'm scared to death. My wife is there with me, and we are just like, what is happening? So of course, my immediate question then is they admit me into the hospital, and the immediate question is then, how long will it take me to recover? Yeah. And there's a team of doctors there, and they said, look, that's the question. That is the right question. The answer is going to depend on the next, few weeks. If you'll make a full recovery, how much you'll recover. Some people don't recover. Some people make a partial recovery. Some people make a full recovery. You're probably the candidate for full recovery, given that you're in good shape, but can't guarantee anything. And it's going to depend on the next few weeks. Mm-hmm. And I had one doctor who told me, primarily it's going to depend on you. And so...
I bet you quite liked hearing that, though.
Yeah, I mean...
That plays into everything that you've told us so far.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But, he's one of a group of doctors who have said, and all of this continues to come with, nobody knows. Nobody has any answers, for me. No one has any concrete answers for me. So in this situation, I have no evidence, right? So the reality right now is that I'm sitting here, laying here, and I can't stand and I can't walk. And I need help doing everything.
So just so I'm clear, like the symptoms get worse and worse.
They get
then
worse.
Stop getting worse?
They stop getting worse at that point.
After treatment or?
No, so there's no treatment because what I had was an ischemic stroke, which means that there was a blockage deep in the right side of my brain. And by the time I got to the hospital, the first thing if you've suffered a stroke, the first thing that happens is they'll do a scan. And you may see some blockage. And if there's blockage there, that means that the blood is obviously not getting out to all of the places it needs to get to. They will give you a medication that's basically called a clot buster. And it just dissolves that clot so the blood flow can continue going. So now it stops, so whatever damage is done to that point is done, but it doesn't continue. So that's why you hear nothing else, if you're experiencing any sort of, discomfort, weirdness, and lack of movement, face drooping, slurred speech, that sort of stuff, get to the hospital as quickly as you possibly can. When they did the scan for me, they didn't see anything. And the doctor said to me,
Did you know that less than half of Brits eat breakfast every day of the week? I mean, that's amazing, but why? Well, it's because we're all time poor, especially in the mornings, so we compromise. My fix is Huel's nutritionally complete high-protein shake, a complete meal in a bottle that slots perfectly into my life. Head to the link in the description for a free t-shirt on your first order with Huel. How can you resist that?
it looks, we think you may have had a stroke, but we're not seeing any clots or any blockage. And I was thinking, you're not seeing any blockage because there's no way I had a stroke. Yeah. That's my thinking.
But then you're fearing, what else could this be though if there's not a stroke?
But I'm relieved that, because stroke sounds really bad, because it is. So I'm relieved that maybe it's not. So it's not that. So maybe that's good news. The next step was then doing an MRI, which would show if there's any damage. So the MRI takes a good 20 minutes. And I'm just, one thing else is during that time, so it's getting worse. My movement is getting worse. And during that time, I'm just exhausted. I feel really exhausted. Get in the MRI, and I've had lots of MRIs from pulled hamstrings and things, and I always just fall asleep in the MRI machine. So I'm like, is it okay if because I'll probably fall asleep when they get fine. Get in there, roll me in, fall asleep, wake up, roll me out, try to get off. Now I can't, now it's done. Left side, arm, fingers, leg, barely can move them. And that was it. So that was the pinnacle. That was where, okay, now this is worse. I mean, it couldn't get any worse than that. And that was, so it never affected any of the right side of my body, never affected my speech, never affected my face or anything. It was just my left arm and leg. Mm-hmm. So many people give up because the recovery is really hard. A lot of days you don't see any improvement. For me, I was very fortunate, having been an Olympic athlete who, my daily routine was, tiny little, mostly unrecognizable gains on a daily basis. Some days when you're training at such a high level, you'll have a really hard training session and you'll feel like, I didn't get any better today. I just wasted all of that time. But as an athlete, that I did get better. It just felt like shit. But I actually got better. And that's the case for stroke victims a lot. You'll go through not just a day, sometimes there's a period where you're trying to get better because you're trying to regain movement. And some days you feel really good. And that's the motivation to come back tomorrow and keep trying to get back. So a lot of people who don't recognize those, they haven't been trained like I was to recognize those little tiny gains and improvements, don't recognize them, and they feel like they're getting worse because they feel like shit today when they put all of that work in. And so they stop and think, this is it. This is as good as it's gonna get. Why keep putting myself through this? Let me just get on with my life and accept that, this is my life. And for some people, they don't make a full recovery no matter what. That's just the life of the reality of a stroke survivor. But some people stop probably far short of their full recovery because they just give up. So I was very fortunate to have been experienced in that world. And so I took it on and felt confident. And I was, I was getting proof, every day that, I'm gonna make a full recovery.
So how soon did the recovery begin?
I had to wait about a week before I could actually start doing anything, and they would let me even just get up and get out of,
how does it begin? If you can't use your left-hand side and can't walk, how do you even begin the process?
So the good thing is that I was in very good shape, before I had the stroke. Mm-hmm. So my right side is pretty strong, so I could use that and just compensate for what I couldn't do on the left side. So it starts with just getting up and starting to try to walk. And I had a physical therapist who actually was the first person who, walked into room and said, okay, today we're going to get up and start, trying to walk. And he got me out with a walker, and we started working. And he said, I guarantee you're going to make a full recovery.